conversation. So we want to be sure we have enough time. I'd like to welcome you all tonight. This is the first of a number of forums that we are going to be doing throughout the year on a variety of different topics that will fulfill part of the goals that the executive director and the state board adopted to align with our strategic plan for this upcoming fiscal year. We're so glad that you've chosen to participate tonight. This is very informal. It is our hope that you will share all of your successes, some of your challenges, and be really candid about how we at the state can help you be more successful with membership or DEI or fundraising or a variety of different things. The forms are posted on the website under calendar, and we would encourage any and all of you to participate and to encourage your other local league members to come in. The purpose of this is to do a lot of brainstorming, because the truth is that the more people at the table, the more ideas and possible solutions you get. So welcome. If there's something that you think of at the end that would help us facilitate these forums more successfully in the future, be sure to share those, because this is the first, and I'm sure that with your input, we'll be able to get better and better as we do others. So I'd like to introduce Barb. Barb is our vice president, Barb Winery, and she is also, she's got lots of hats. She has also stepped up to assume the position of local league support. And so I'm gonna have her say a few words, and Barb, if you would put your contact information in the chat so that people can copy that and know how to get in touch with you.
Okay, thank you very much, Karen. In my role as vice president, I work with Beth and others to work on the agenda for Making Democracy Works Day, and also for our annual meetings. We organize all the reports and things and speakers that we need for that particular meeting. So I'm busy with that, plus assisting and supporting Karen in her role as president. And also, I have in the past worked with local league support as a coach, and just personally have networked with other leagues to find out what they're doing so we can do better in our league too. And by the way, I'm from the Greeley Weld League. But really my role is to find how, in terms of local league support, not only help facilitate the best ideas that we have and best practices and how we can share those, or how we can get those to you from other states or from national as we run across those ideas and resources, but a troubleshooter too. So if you're struggling with something, like even after tonight, if there's some things that you'd like to follow up with, I'd be happy to talk with you and see if we can come up with some kind of an action plan that might help support you in some strategies in recruiting, keeping members, expanding your membership. So that's my role, and kind of linking that in with what the state can do as well. So I'm here to help in any way I can, and also sit in on the forum meetings to get some ideas about what's going on in our leagues and how we can better offer some resources and support to all of you.
Thanks, Barb.
Mm-hmm.
What I'd like to do now is have each of you introduce yourselves, tell us which league you're from, and maybe just one fun fact. This doesn't have to be anything complicated, and we want to do it quickly. I'm just going to call upon you in the order registered, because I want to be able to record which league you belong to, and then we'll have know how to get in touch with you. So let me start first of all with Kathleen Doyle. And if you all want to just unmute yourselves right now, at least for the time being, then that'll save us time. without having to say,
It looks like we lost Kathleen.
okay, well, we'll drop down then to Barbara Dungy.
Hi, Barbara Dungy of the Arapahoe and Douglas Counties League. Okay, I forget what I was supposed to say.
Oh, just some little fun fact or something that you've done that was
Oh,
you enjoyed. It can be anything.
oh, absolutely. Everything we've been doing in our local league has been enjoyable. We've got some events coming up. We've got some presentations on wildfire and water in Colorado, which we will be opening up to the other leagues in the state if they wish to attend, with guest speakers, of course. And then the month after that, we have an event with guest speakers on hate groups in Colorado. And we're just, really trying to do all we can to attract a variety of new people. And we have a mentoring program that we've started so that we have that personal touch where we don't just let people languish and then they drift off after joining. So,
Right.
Yeah.
If those programs are being done by Zoom, share that with Beth so that we can promote it on the state website.
absolutely. Thank you.
You're welcome. Judy Edmonds.
I'm Chaffee County League of Women Voters. That includes Buena Vista and Salida and Leadville. And you already know one fun fact about me.
Yes, we do. Okay. Well, thanks. Thanks, Judy. Janice Edwards. don't
She was
see-
here.
Okay, maybe she'll come back.
Here she is. No,
Oh.
she's here.
Oh, Janice?
Yes,
Jan.
I'm here. Yeah, I didn't unmute like I was supposed to. I was writing notes.
There you are. Okay. You're from the Compadre Valley, which is now several areas together. If you
Well, we were the Montrose League, but we provided service in Montrose Delta and Uray counties over the years. So we just kind of made it more formal, acknowledging that we're there, but we have a lot of building to do also in those two counties outside of Montrose. Last night we had Horsefly, local brewery, honored us for a tap night, and we don't know the proceeds of that yet. We got $1 for every beverage of any kind that was purchased, and we've done this every year for several years, but usually it followed on the heels of our little march that we did for the 19th Amendment, and we didn't do that this year. This is the 101st year. We're going to give it a rest. We've been doing it a long time. So, and that was really nice because we were able to get together. A lot of the members turned out and we were able to kind of sit and talk and catch up with each other. It was really nice, almost like normal, you know?
Mhm.
That's us.
all right, thanks. I don't see Stephanie Foster. Connie Fox.
Hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Hello there. I'm from the Montezuma League for 6 years, and I'm now working with the nominating committee for the state. And I'm looking for a non-board member to serve on the nominating committee. So
I bet you are.
if you have someone who would like some statewide experience and who has been in the league for a while and is kind of a little bit extroverted, get hold of me.
It's a relatively easy volunteer list.
And if you're just simply enthusiastic and want to do it, get in touch with Connie.
Great way to meet new people.
Absolutely.
But we have a good team. We do need one more person.
Well, Connie is also the newest member of our board. She took Lois Adams' place. Lois had to, for those of you that may not be aware, she had to step down due to some health problems. And so Connie very graciously agreed to step onto the board and step up to being chair for the nominating committee. So Connie, you might want to put your contact information in the chat. Brenda Freeburn. Don't see her. Phyllis Graham.
Here.
Chris Humphreys.
Yes, how's everybody doing? I'm Chris Humphreys and I'm on the Colorado board and I'm also Capitol Hill for my league. And I enjoy doing everything. I'm on the voter service. I'm ready to get started.
Pretty soon. There's gonna be
It's
an announcement.
time.
Thanks, Chris. Linda Mahan. Linda, you're on mute.
She's not on there. There she is.
We'll come back. Karen McManus, I don't see her here.
Mm-mm.
Okay, well, hopefully she'll come in a little later. Laurie Meininger.
Hi, everybody. I'm Laurie Meininger with the La Plata League. And I will share a fun fact that doesn't have anything to do with the league. But before that, we just had a board retreat a few weeks ago that was really exciting, talking about shifting the image of the League of Women Voters in La Plata County to be more inclusive to folks who don't look like everybody on this Zoom meeting. So super excited about that and some work that we're going to be doing forthcoming from that. So fun fact about me. So for the year that I turned 50, I did two pretty cool things. I took a course and drove Formula One race cars for a couple of weeks. And I will proudly boast that I beat every man on the track. No offense, Ross, being the only man here in the room. And that same year I climbed
I'm impressed.
Kilimanjaro.
Cool.
That's great. Yeah, I don't think you'll find somebody to top that, Laurie.
It was a good year. Thanks.
Jan Moorman, I don't see her. Ross, we have two Rosses.
Two parks.
Two parts.
Yeah, I'm taking Beth's lead there. We have two parks. We have Ross and we have Ellen. So if you guys would share something.
Okay, we're Ross and Ellen Park. We come as a pair here. We've been in the league in La Plata County for almost 20 years, so it's been a while. We represent the technology arm as far as La Plata County is concerned. We work at state level, we work at US level, we work at CE level. So we're up and down the chain here quite a bit. Engagement is something that I'll let Laurie introduce. We do have an initiative going there, but I think that it's really up to her to say something about that. So again, glad to be with you and glad to that we are working on this subject and that these forums sound very interesting. We'll see if we can plug into some more. Thank you.
Great. Ellen, would you care to say a few words?
Just really quickly, so I'm Ellen Clark. And as Ross said, we both have technology backgrounds, so we do a lot of the back office stuff for our league. But I was membership chair for a while. I turned it over to someone else and still on the team. And we've had a lot of success attracting new members. I think our big struggle right now, 25% new over the last,
December.
Yeah.
Wow.
Less than a year. But our big push now is getting members engaged, getting them participate and to have programs that make them want to participate. I think that's really where a lot of our energy is going to go. And I really appreciate Laurie coming on board as our new president because I know she's right dialed into the same thing. So.
And I'm into race cars, so this is good.
Well, now you know who you have to call. Talk about that.
I was going to say you have to give up his Porsche when we retired. So.
Well, that's unfortunate. Afton Reed, don't see Afton. Ruthie Walkwell.
Oh, hello. I'm from the Greeley-Will County League. I joined about 4 years ago. We have a program coming up September 16th on suicide prevention. I'm also working on a task force that's preparing an exhibit for Greeley History Museum about our league and about, well, it was going to be in honor of the 100th anniversary, but of course it had to be postponed because of COVID. So it's going to open on the 7th of October and run until sometime in April. I'm also working with the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Committee, and stuff like that.
Great, great. Sounds like you guys are keeping busy. Kirk, I don't see Kirk. Pam Starling, she's not here.
Hi, I am here.
Oh, where are you? Oh, there you are.
I'm with the Fort Collins Larimer League, and I'm new to the league and fairly new to Colorado within the last year. So I'm just trying to learn how to plug in.
Okay, great. Well, we're so glad you decided to plug in here. Deb Tittle? Deb?
Hi, I'm sorry I'm late.
That's okay.
What was the question
Well,
again?
the question is, what league are you from? And just one fun fact about yourself.
One fun fact.
Or your
Well,
league.
I'm representing Mesa County over here in Grand Junction. And a fun fact about myself. I swim. I just got out of the pool a little bit ago.
Oh, okay. Well, then you have an excuse for being late then.
I didn't have my clock out there, right?
Well, I'm glad you were able to make it. And we'll go back to Linda if she's there now. Linda Mahan. All right. Well, Barb.
Sure. Okay, thank you. And maybe we'll pick up some other people. Maybe they took a little vacation to have some dinner. But anyway, yeah, this part is where we really would like you to share. Some of you have already talked about the fact that you have some initiatives going, either with recruiting new members or engaging new members or looking at some strategies of things that you want to do. But we wanted to start out first with having you share if there's something in particular that you've done over the years or just recently about, I guess we can leave it open to both recruiting members and member engagement. So if you have something that's been helpful or successful, just need you to share that with us, and we'll come around later, the second round, and kind of talk about the challenges and see what we have going on there. We were kind of going in alphabetical order, but I would just as soon have people volunteer to go and offer ideas that you'd like to share until we have a chance for everybody to do so. So who would like to go first?
Or do you want us to use the raise hand function or just?
Oh, that's a good idea. Sure.
Okay. Or just physically raise your hand.
You can raise your hand physically, or you can put the little icon in. That helps catch my eye. Okay, Judy. I think you need to unmute first.
Okay, there you go. Our league chapter has grown really enormously in the last, well, I'd say in the last 2 years, certainly leading up to the last election cycle. And I think part of the reason that we've attracted so many people is, well, there are two things. One is we've had a really good voter service chairman who has just done a remarkably good job of involving community members in discussions with candidates in something we've called candidating. And I think that really has brought the league to people's attention because it's been such a great tool for community members to really have a feel for who the candidates are and what they stand for. But the other thing is we've had a really strong program called Drinks and Dialogues. And these programs have been usually in the evenings, and we've had I don't remember how many, but probably 3 or 4 every year. But they are programs to bring to the fore some really interesting speakers on topics of concern to people in not only in our community, but kind of nationwide. And I think those things have really drawn people into the league. But we are now, of course, faced with the problem we're trying to address, that being, how do you engage your new members? We've tried when they register online, we've tried to get them to fill out, a questionnaire regarding what their interests are, what they consider their strengths to be. But I think we've only been marginally successful in getting people to give us that information. So we're looking for new ideas as well.
Okay, thank you, Jan. I'm going to follow. Ross and Ellen had their hand up next.
Barb, just a second. Ross
Sure.
and Ellen, for you. Jan, if you wouldn't mind, Judy, just jotting down, it doesn't have to be in great detail, but if you could just send Beth some brief notes on how that meet the candidates form works and your drinks and dialogues. What we're going to do is gather all the ideas that you all share tonight so that we can pass those on. But if you wouldn't mind doing that, then.
So Karen, rather than taking time to try to do that on the chat now.
No, don't do it on the chat now. Just do it and send it to Beth later.
Okay.
When it's convenient for you. Yeah.
Okay.
Would you mind? And the rest of you too, if you've got, as you're sharing great ideas, we'll try to take some notes, but on some of these things, rather than spending a lot of time going into detail about exactly how they work, if we can get you to write that up and just send it to us, then we'll be able to pass on that additional information.
Okay.
So thanks. Right. Okay. Awesome.
Okay. All right. So Ross and Ellen were next. I had Jan on deck.
So it's going to be Ellen. Let me load that.
Ellen, could you speak up a little bit, please? I'm having difficulty hearing you.
I need to get closer to the computer.
That helps. Thank you.
Yeah. Is that better?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So first of all, Judy, what you said about voter services, I think that was our major breakthrough this past year. And we have a dynamite voter services person, Karen McManus, who's didn't join us tonight, but I think she's still on vacation. But she has made a huge difference in pulling a lot of people in. And we were Zooming everything, of course, this past year and a half. But I think that led to a lot of new members who came on board. We did candidate forums. We also have a partnership with Fort Lewis College, our local college, and put on a couple of educational events that drew a huge number of people. And the other thing Karen did is she partnered with some of the other leagues in the Western Slope. So we not only were able to do Zoom meetings for our league, La Plata County, but we had people that came in from other proximate leagues, and that was a big deal too. And the whole thing seemed to work really well. We got really proficient using Zoom. One other thing I will say, almost all of our new members, and many of them are maybe younger than, let's say, we are, joined online. So getting that Club Express website, I think, was a very big deal to getting new members to join. It's so much easier when you can just get on Club Express, get on our website and join and pay right then. That's been very helpful. So that's all I will add at this point. I think going forward, Laurie has a lot of great ideas, particularly with what you call DEI, what we call JEDI, which includes justice. And Ross has been working on the engagement side, which is a struggle, still a struggle. You want to?
Okay.
I would add a few things if I could and then pass it on.
Okay.
Again, about 3 months ago or so, in talking about this with Laurie and others, we did recognize that although we're growing, and again, 25% in December is quite a growth. But the second is that we're not quite growing as much as we'd like as far as the engagement of those members. And that is a struggle, as Ellen says. We approached that first by saying that maybe what we ought to do is turn that back on not just the new members, but everyone in our league and say, what motivates you and what would motivate you more as far as joining us and getting engaged, more engaged, because we still, and we do have a number of very active members, and they did respond. So we started that with a survey. I built a CE survey, which is not particularly hard to do. Again, if you have a representative on the webmasters group as far as CE at LWV level, then we've been talking about that, and I've been teaching in a bit on that as far as how to do this. So that's, again, it's a transportable survey. We can show you that. Very simple, very easy to answer, 5 questions that range from what brought you to the league, or how do you want to hear from the league, or what are your interests? And the last question there is, what would make you more interested as far as engaging? So going back to them, not just once, but going back to them repeatedly is very important to say that when we get new members, include that survey as part of that new member welcome, but also go back to the member that haven't answered our survey. And yes, we didn't get a very good response to that, maybe 30 out of 130. So we'd like for that to be at least 50 to 75. How do we get there? We repeat this process over and over and over again. Laurie mentioned about having a retreat recently. I was there, as were board members. I'm not on the board, but I was there. And we talked about some things that really interested me as far as engagement. And one of those is just start back from the question that says, let's talk about your local league. Are you event oriented or are you committee oriented? Not that one is better than the other, but the fact that look and see which side of that has been more engaging. And I think hands down, as far as our league is concerned, it's the event side. So we're not looking to change that, but we're starting to understand what pulls people in as far as their engagement. And it's not a year-long engagement, it's an event engagement. And maybe they'll do 2 a year for us or help us. But I think that's good. And I think it's good that we can recognize something like that. So that's where we have started. We're giving out rewards at our Back to League meeting for people that have answered that survey. So we're building a lot of, if you will, enthusiasm around getting back online and being able to answer that survey and getting engaged. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I think Jan, pardon me.
I'm just going to say, Ross, please jot that down and send it to Beth. If you would include those 5 questions on your survey.
Yeah, please.
And also how you put that survey together.
I'll do it. Anybody that would like a private lesson on that, I'll be happy to help.
Okay, well, then we better put in your contact information too. Jan Edwards.
Oh, at one point I was really asking Judy to give a little bit more detail about the things she mentioned. That's why my hand was up.
Oh, okay. Do you want to ask her those questions right now?
Well, I think if she will frame it out and send it to Beth and we get it. I know what Drinks and Dialogues. I know what that's about, but I don't know the format for candidating, how that actually looks, and I would like to know.
Okay. A lot of it's
know,
like the date candidating process.
Well,
rotate around to different candidates and ask them questions.
We'll be sure that everybody on this forum gets that.
Okay. Yeah, there is a format for that. So we'll do that. Anybody who wants to go next? Well, Barb Dungy.
Okay. Actually, that's probably good because I can contrast what we're doing with Ross and Ellen. So we also sent out an engagement survey as part of our attempt to see if anyone needs mentoring or just what we could do to understand how engaged our members are and what they need to be more engaged. And so I'm really interested in what Ross and Ellen have been saying. And our response rate was about 25 out of, a little more than 100. And it was disappointing. Phyllis Graham isn't here tonight. This is her baby to basically keep people engaged. And I think it's brilliant through this mentoring program that she's having us work on. The people that responded for us, that answered, opened the emails, read them and responded, were the people that have been the most involved people for years. So that, not 100%, but I would say 90%. So that was disappointing. So definitely, I heard what Ross and Ellen were saying and others are saying about, through Club Express, we can capture interests when people join, or at any time they can update them or add them. And I really feel that's important because we need to know those questions that the parks just listed were great. What would make you more involved with League? And that's great. And Beth and I were in a DEI meeting today earlier, and I was kind of floored because I was in a breakout session with a woman from New York who's African-American, and she's kind of assumed a role of working on diversity for League, which is great. But I said to her, did you choose that to work on that? Is that, your pet project, or did you kind of get stuck because they needed somebody to do it? And is there something else you'd rather be doing? And she said, well, yeah, actually there was something else I would rather have been doing, but this is important and I'm working on this now. And I thought, how many people, we try to recruit and engage a diversity of people, but we don't want to just saddle them with solving diversity problems. I mean, it's important and we need help and we appreciate that they work on that, but that's kind of unfair. None of us would want to be the man or the woman that represents all men or women, to solve the problems. So, and that's why I think capturing interests and then also keeping people engaged, anything we can do to help with that, I'm listening.
Can you talk more about your mentoring program, Barb?
Yeah, basically I've been providing technical support for Phyllis Graham. And first of all, she met with resistance from people on the management team, not the current management team, but over the years. And it's taken her, she's very persistent. It's taken her 2 or 3 years to talk people into doing this. Of course, she's doing all the work. So, why not? And the idea is that our membership chair, Joe Fetter, has a really good new member orientation system going. She sets up a meeting periodically with new members, provides handouts, answers questions, and gives that personal interaction, whether it's in a small group in a park, so that with COVID, or whether it's online, whatever, safely. And I think that's really good. And then the mentoring offer is something that we're offering to any of our members, new or old, but certainly the new ones, where if they want to be paired with someone like a buddy, and certainly to make us accessible, because how many times have you had an event in person, say a holiday party, and the old members immediately go over into the corner because they're so happy to see each other and just start talking away to each other. And meanwhile, you've got a new person sitting over by the door that they came in through, and nobody's talking to that person. And so that's another thing too, is we're going to make plans to have people kind of pair with newer members and sit with them and talk with them and make them feel welcome and appreciated. So, but the mentoring is basically to find out about the people, find out what they need, which we hope this survey would do, and basically provide that through personal contact, whether they're called periodically, but certainly we will communicate with them so that they don't just drift through a year being a new member of League and then have no idea who these people are that are running things, and maybe don't even feel that they're welcome, or worse yet, feel that they're not smart enough to figure out how it works. And could I just say one
point.
more thing? Could I just say one more thing? Some of us also belong to AAUW, and we've heard that there are people, and get this, in AAUW, which I guess is more social than I realized, that feel that they would be inadequate to join league because they don't know enough about issues.
Wow.
And when they said that, you know, it wasn't even the local Justin Bieber fan club. It was AAUW saying that. That kind of floored me. So,
Yeah.
So messaging about learning about issues, you don't have to know about them before you get here.
good
Yeah,
point.
you don't have to be an expert.
No,
Expert.
and we need to remind people of that, because that's part of diversity, but it's also part of making people feel welcome.
Sure.
Now, Barb, let me ask you a question. I would think that Jo is learning more from her calls with people than y'all are getting from your surveys. That is speculation on my part. Is it true?
No, I think your instincts, as usual, are excellent. And that's true, because that survey, we basically noticed that there was one new member, new in the last year, that wasn't sure if she would rejoin or renew her dues, because she just wasn't sure what she was doing with league or getting out of it. And so Phyllis called her right up and put her on some little committee of the two of them. And Phyllis is her buddy. And, you know, yeah, I tell Phyllis, we would have lost her probably if it weren't for Phyllis's personal contact. I think the personal contact, you're hitting on it, is really important. Now that involves resources. A lot of us, you know, we're just stretched till we just snap with doing things, you know, but I think if there's a way to figure out how to do it, that's important.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Ruthie Rockwell.
What am I supposed to say?
What you kind of know what we do up here in Weld County, trying to get members engaged.
Well,
how did you get engaged? You were a newer member a couple years ago.
I got engaged because I had the thoughts about League of Women Voters in the back of my mind for like 15 or 20, well, 10 or 15 years before I retired. But until I retired, I didn't feel like I had the time, and I didn't feel like I had the financial resources to comfortably cover the dues either. But when it came to learning about fracking, when I suddenly started to learn about fracking, that's when the league here had a general education meeting about fracking, and that just blew it open for me. Then I wanted to join any organization locally that could teach me more about fracking and what I could do to get involved, become a fractivist. So League of Women Voters was the one that I've stuck with. Well, that and Weld Air and Water are the ones that I've stuck with most faithfully since that time, almost 4 years ago. But once I started paying attention to other things that the league was doing, I gradually got involved in other things. Like now I'm doing the news release coordination about those general education meetings so that they're published in local newspapers and so forth, and things like that. You know, I got interested enough to come to the board meetings and voice an opinion now and then, once I felt like I had something valuable or at least somewhat coherent to say. I wanted to learn more about the ballot, because for years I would vote, but I would read that ballot issue so many times and still be puzzled. I just love the way the league goes and presents ballot issue presentations. And I like helping with that, because I want to study it enough to be comfortable talking about it, put it in my own words and share it with people so that they don't get stuck with the ballot language issue that I always got stuck with. Anyway, that's how I got engaged. It started with fracking and it grew from that. I might never have joined if I hadn't gone to that one fracking meeting that just blew it open for me.
Okay, thank you, Ruthie. And I might mention, we have had a long time up in Greeley Weld, a long time membership chair, Hazel Gibson, who we're sorry is moving to Atlanta. But anyway, we've been trying to find somebody to replace her. But what she has done, and maybe a couple of you have mentioned this, but she really has a lot of one-to-one contact with the new members, trying to find out where they might fit into the league. Also, we always invite people to sit in on our leadership council because it's rather informal and it's a good way to hear discussion and learn about people and the things that we do. And Ruthie's one of those people that started attending our leadership council, and she's really grown in her participation and involvement in the league and truly has some skills to contribute. So it's that kind of one-to-one relationship, and also finding placement for people where she feels the membership chair, as she works with them, fit in. And we are doing the new member orientation in a couple weeks with new members we have too. Let me see before we get lost. Laurie Meininger.
I'm busy writing notes.
Okay, I know.
And over again, what keeps coming up is this idea of one-on-one engagement. And I really appreciate, Barbara, the comments that you just made about making people feel valued and smart. I guess, one of the suppositions I think that we have is that, if someone's interested enough to learn about the league, it's because they care about something. And so what is it that they care about? And the stories that have been shared here this evening, the person who is the chair of our Jedi committee is a gay man who became a member of the league because he was so frustrated with what was happening on social media. And he tells a lovely story that's pretty inspiring, I think, about why he joined the league. So he was so tired of all of the conversation, the negative conversation amongst all of his friends on Facebook, and said to his partner, like, this is just so frustrated. I don't know what to do. And his partner said, you need to join the League of Women Voters and do something. And so when he told us that story, that one of the ideas that generated from that, and something that I hope that we're going to be able to pursue this year, is capturing little videos of folks like Alex. Sorry, that's my dog in the background. Sorry, like Alex, like the story, Ruthie, that you told. Like, I got here because of fracking. Alex got to the league because he was just so frustrated with all the negative information on Facebook. And I think those kinds of stories just really help. And so figuring out how to capture those in little, 45-second, 1-minute videos, and then use those in public campaign somehow, to just partially present a different face of the league. But also, I find it really disturbing that if well-educated women think they're not smart enough to be a member of the league, what are other people thinking about what is the league for them? So, I think just kind of keeping that in mind and making it more, finding different ways to engage people, to have them, like Ross said, you don't have to commit to being the chair of something right away, but and this is the last thing I'll share. So we recently got invited to come register voters during a delayed Gay Pride Week. And so there we were at this wonderful Gay Pride event with drag queen show and all these things. And I can't tell you how many times people came up to me and said, I had no idea that the league would come to something like this, as though it were separate. And trying to at working at not having the league be seen as something separate, but rather something that's integral to the fabric of the community.
Something inclusive.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank
Oh,
you,
here's
Laurie.
something. Sorry, can I bring something up, Barb?
Sure.
So here's what I'm wondering. So many of our Colorado leagues have great programming about fracking, for instance, that pulled in Ruthie. What about the people in Montrose, where Montrose might not have a program about fracking, but if they're part of the Montrose League, they're part of the State League network, so therefore they have access to the fracking information. So how do we network better? Our shared calendar is helpful, but how does the State League amplify with what you all are doing across the state without stealing your thunder, without taking credit for what you're doing, but opening it up to people statewide and letting people know, hey, you join the league in Montezuma County, you still have access to Larimer County programs. You still have access to Boulder programs. What do you all think about that?
I think that's great. I mean, I really very much enjoyed a program that Mesa County League put on many months ago about a kind of a coordinated effort between behavioral, clinical people,
oh yeah,
like mental health people and the local law enforcement people. I thought that was a wonderful program. And I was so pleased and grateful that I was allowed to participate and listen into that.
If local leagues, we don't want to add a burden on local leagues to make it just one more thing for them to do. But if local leagues would be willing to, when they get their programs scheduled, to write up, send us the title and just a kind of a brief write up like you might see in a college catalog, and send that information so that we could get it out at the state level. Would that be helpful with the link?
No, that's not even necessary, Karen. They just check a box as they're creating the event, and it shows up on our calendar as well. So it's even easier than what you're suggesting. That step doesn't even need to happen.
Well, does everybody know how to do that? Does every local league know how to do that?
We have advertised it and webmasters change over. It's a continual message. But what else can we do to promote, to cross-pollinate? Ross, sorry.
Ross does have a comment.
I guess I'd like to add that I agree with Karen that, there is a need for pulling from LWVCO as far as programs are concerned, but I believe this is a two-way street.
Absolutely.
We have a much better chance, I think, in a lot of cases to engage people at a local level, at a local league level. If we develop a program as we are now, think about JEDI, then I think that LWVCO has a role to, if you will, know about that and to promote that with our help to other leagues. So that if they believe that at a local level, JEDI would be something that would be promotable as far as engagement is concerned, then we've got one place to go to get information from that, and that's LWVCO. But I think these programs need to start from where we need the most, if you will, focus, and that's at the local level. So that's, these programs move up and down between the local level, LWVCO, as they're needed by each local league or as they're developed, but as they're held as far as LWVCO is concerned.
Can I also add that we are talking now about online programs? And
Right.
I'm wondering, as we go forward and things hopefully eventually settle down, if we're going to start reverting back to in-person programs, which makes a lot of this conversation a little more difficult, because you can't obviously do that unless you record them, which can be done. I mean, you can record a program, but it
Or
takes
have the equipment.
you've got to have the equipment, you've got to have the
simultaneously.
expertise. Exactly.
Mhm.
But again, we're talking about online programs, which I think are becoming the norm, frankly.
I do too.
I
Because
really
people
like
can
them.
access them.
Yeah. And as I mentioned earlier, our voter services chair, she developed a beautiful list of local voter service chair people for the entire southwest corner, you know, the western slope. And every time we had a program, she would blast something to them and say, this is what you're doing. I think, for example, we did a candidate forum for CD3. Are you interested? And that's another way to just create these groups of like pods, really, yeah, of leagues that have common interests. Now, there are things that are of statewide interest, and that will take the state league to kind of develop that and help us get if we have, for example, let's say we do some sort of program on healthcare, that would be a statewide interest, and figuring out. And I hear what you're saying, Beth, about, you know, you can always get on a calendar, but I think it needs to be more proactive. I think we need to reach out to people to let them know.
And actually promote it. I mean, it's.
And actually promote it, right.
There's so much stuff on that calendar that yes, I can go through, but I may miss something. And if it's promoted and it really is drawn to my attention, then I may say, oh my gosh, this is really sounds interesting, or I've been wanting to hear more about this.
Exactly.
So yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Can I take a minute to, somebody wanted some, Jan wanted some clarification on, I think somebody wrote it in, JEDI, which means justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion.
Right.
And it's kind of short for that. And we've added justice here in Colorado. Nationally, they've been talking about DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. But the National's also heading in that direction of including justice in the conversation as well. We're running close on the end of our time, and I did want to make sure that everybody who wanted to comment on some of the successes they've had gets a couple seconds to do that. So Jan, do you have anything that you wanted to share with us?
Now, I was asking about JEDI because it's spoken about as if it's a program or something, and I just wasn't sure what they meant. Of course, I know about the DEI part, and the addition of justice is wonderful, but it was the context in which it was referred to that I wasn't sure we were talking about the same thing.
Okay.
I don't know what JEDI is either.
Oh, okay. It's more of our conversations. It's talking about our conversations about reaching out to different groups and trying to be more inclusive than we have in the past, and recruiting. You know, we're looking at age, we're looking at gender, we're looking at culture, ethnic groups. How can we expand our group so it's more inclusive? So it's, even though it's talked about like as a program, it's more of an initiative that we're working on. And how does that, it certainly combines not only with membership recruitment, but with member engagement. And we're going to be talking about that in some future forums, like how do we work with partnerships and allies and things like that that are related to the JEDI conversation.
Well, speaking of inclusiveness, I don't know if this is true of leagues all over the state, but ours is, I would say, almost entirely retirement age people, rather than we have practically no young moms or dads. And, you know, maybe that's just the nature of the beast, but it seems like it would be good to find some way to get the younger population more engaged.
We're working
sure.
on it.
Yep, and we are, and maybe as we talk more about this DEI initiative, there are some strategies in terms of planning your events. How can you invite different groups to be involved either in the planning process? I think the key here is we need more and different perspectives. Even if we are focusing on one part of the spectrum, that yes, whether it's in our programming or they actually become members or participants, but somehow how do we get more people's voices involved?
One
And that's
thing I
part of
was
membership.
thinking of is if we could talk a little bit more internally and externally about the league's position on issues and use that as a stimulus to look at other community groups who are concerned with some of those issues so we can approach them directly. I don't know where that information, I mean, I have an old green book that had the league's position in great detail from 2 or 3 years ago. I haven't seen anything quite like that since. I've also seen at one point, briefly, it was in relation maybe to ballot issues, but it listed groups far beyond the league who were interested or working or involved with some specific ballot issues on one side or the other, who was in favor of these things. I haven't seen that for 2 or 3 years. I would love to see it again. I think it's useful in these veins that we're discussing right now.
I do too, and I think Beth just put in the chat links to how you can get a hold of those documents online. Connie, you had a comment, and then I think Deb had something to say too. Okay.
Connie, you're muted.
You're muted.
She's just showing impact on issues. That's our position book.
Right.
It's available, yeah, on our website. We're working, on ballot issues for the 2021 election currently. The Secretary of State has until the 1st to review signatures on initiatives. So only one has been officially approved, but we're expecting 2 more. But we'll be getting those out in English and Spanish to y'all by September 10th.
Okay, thanks, Beth. Deb?
Hi, I'll try to talk quick and hit the things that I want.
Okay.
As far as position and policy for the league, I had to look that up just the other day, and that's at the US site, at the national site. You will find that updated version 20 through 22, I think it is, that lists all the stance for positions, because going into this this election season, we're going to have ballot issues about financing and supporting the school, which it has crashed and burned probably the last 3 times we've voted on it. We've got ceilings falling in on our schools. The next point I want to make is with Zoom. We decided, we debated whether we'd go back to live events this year or not. We decided to stick with Zoom, especially since our school board had to be escorted out by the police the other night. We can control Zoom a lot better around controversy and people who come to disrupt meetings. We can control the time and it worked better for us. And also with unknowns around COVID, we decided to continue with Zoom presentations. And thank you for the comments about what we did this past winter with law enforcement and behavioral health. That was a lot of fun, but I have to say that we probably had more viewers from around the state than we did locally. So we have a problem with engagement here too. And we also had thought about, we dug deep this summer and we were going to dissolve the league because we just are our membership is going down. We had problems with engagement, a lot of unknowns. But one of the things we did do, and one of the options for our members, and they voted on it, was to hire an office manager part-time. And
Excellent.
so we did, and we hired a young woman that's going to Colorado Mesa University. And one of her tasks is to engage the student population over there more and to bring in new members that way. That has been where we've focused on our diversity. And from there, we hope that blossoms. She just started in August and we got a generous donation from one of our members, which will also extend her time and allow her to work more for us.
Great.
I think
Hey,
the state.
Deb, can you have her get a hold of me?
Oh, sure. She just
Great.
started, so we're orientating her.
Awesome.
I'll have her call you.
Great.
Deb, where are you from? What league?
Grand Junction.
Grand Junction. Okay.
Yeah, Mesa County.
Yeah, no challenges going on there now.
No,
Not a
just every
one.
day you see it on Facebook and in the paper.
Yeah, you're gonna have fun in the next election.
Yeah.
Barb,
We're
did
trying
you
to
make-
find our county clerk right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd stay on Zoom if I were you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Barb, did you have a comment?
Very quickly, our league has committed to, if we do go back to in-person meetings, to also providing an online option. It's good during snow. It's good for older people who are afraid to drive at night. And we've also been trying to invite everyone, all the people in leagues in the state. And so that way it's more inclusive.
Perfect.
One more
Go
point.
ahead, Deb. Yeah.
To the state, a lot of times when we're planning events, we go, well, who would we have come speak? And we go, well, let's contact the state and see if they can find somebody. But a lot of times it's like last minute kind of things. And so if you already have a working list for people to draw from, or people that are kind of spontaneous and good speakers on topics and various topics, if that was available to us that we could peruse online and look at that, I think that's one of the things where you've helped us in the past.
Yeah, the problem is keeping that list updated is a bear. But I agree with you that we gotta figure something out on that end, because helpful to y'all. Got that.
Yeah, and maybe each local, you could solicit those speakers from local leagues, of people they know in their community that speak well on a topic. And that's all I have to say.
That's a great idea. That way we can all add additional resources. We have gone beyond the hour that we have allotted for this. We are certainly willing to stay if you would like to stay and visit. Beth had put together some information on the LWVCO document library where you could find additional information. And I love your idea, Deb, of the guest speakers. We'll see about working on that. If there are specific things that you can think of right now where we at the state level can help you, if you quickly want to share that, I'd like to ask if this was productive enough that you would like for us to schedule another meeting. A month from now, should we do this quarterly? How often would feel comfortable for you? Or do you feel like you have enough right now and wait until there's a need? And we will get to you. I have taken lots of notes, and we will send you the information that we've gathered in our notes. Those of you that shared some wonderful programming, if you would take a few moments and share that with us so that we can pass that on. We will compile everything and get it out to all of you. Beth has a list of everybody that participated tonight, and so we'll be sure to send that to each of you.
I have a question for Barbara Bentley. You mentioned two programs that you thought were particularly successful, one on wildfire and water, and the other one on hate groups in Colorado. Are those programs that you have recorded that could be shared?
So those are programs that are coming up. The wildfire and water one is coming up in September, on September 21st. Okay. The hate groups in Colorado is October 19th. I have been making them visible. Thank you, State League, for your patience. I'm sorry I put all the public hearings on for redistricting, but once August is over, you'll never see it again. Yeah. Thank you. No, we do make our our meetings with guest speakers visible to everyone, so you can always see.
Okay.
So they're posted on the state website.
The first one, the September one, is, I'm just in the process of doing it. I think I have something out there, but I'm just in the process of updating the details.
Okay.
And October's coming.
Yes.
One quickie for me, if you would. Beth just put in a chat, which I think is quite important, and that is the forming of a member engagement forum. I'm a fan of forums, as you might suspect, but it's a way to meet. You know, if we decide to meet quarterly, I think this is a dead issue. If you think it's a monthly, then yes, we might grind that out. But having a forum where people can add to that on a daily basis if they want to, I think is much more important. So please get familiar with forums. They're popping up on CE. They're easy to use. So I applaud you, Beth. If you can pull that together, I would really like to see that happen.
And
Right.
let us know. Reach
Yeah,
out.
absolutely. And everyone, Ross keeps using the term CE for Club Express.
Oh, I thought you said CD.
Sure,
Sorry about that.
CE.
Sorry, yeah.
Yep. No, he works heavily in it, so you get used to the lingo.
Uh-huh.
Great idea, Ross. I hadn't thought about doing it on an ongoing basis. That's probably a faster and easier for a lot of folks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we all have so many meetings that.
Yeah.
It's great for something like this is great for an initial to get everybody thinking about it, and then we can send out just periodic reminders that once Beth gets that up and going, that it is there. Check it out, make additions yourself to make it grow and be really a productive resource.
Beth, will you explain how they can find the forums?
You're muted.
You're muted.
You'll be getting, once I set it up, I will
Okay.
include all of the participants in this meeting, and you'll get an email, an automated email from Club Express.
And Beth, please add I did register, but I decided to just come in on Ross's registration. So you
Great.
should have my email separately.
Great.
We don't share emails.
Understand.
Thanks.
Anything else for this evening?
Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, thank you,
You're
Karen.
welcome.
Thank you.
It was
Thanks,
fun to
Barbara.
hear what everybody's doing.
Thank you so much for attending. We really appreciate it.
And we'll get back with you in the next few days with a recording of this meeting, our notes, and you will have heard from Club Express about how to access the forum.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
Well, have a good evening.
Good night.
Thanks for your
Bye.
attendance.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.